Welcome to the Rival Podcast. I'm Neal. He's Bruce. Today is the Fantasy Football Week 3 recap, breaking down the players who went beast mode, our overreactions, the narratives, and everything in between. You are now listening to the Rival Fantasy Sports Podcast. Let's go. Before we start, Bruce, any takeaways from your Giants last night, man?
Oh my God! The takeaway is that they're a big headache, and that they're gonna be up and down. These receivers can't catch to save their lives, and we just probably lost our best receiver last night too. So it's gonna be a long year, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, Saquon had his moments, though. It was good to see him back. You know what I mean?
That's true.
He was doing good, but other than that, yeah, it's not a lot of positives, I guess.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, the defense was solid for the most part. I mean, obviously we gave up some big plays, but I think overall the Giants are building something. So we'll see. This is a kind of a find ourselves year, and we'll see what happens next year.
The most frustrating thing I think is Kenny Galladay, man. Like, dude is non-existent.
Yeah, I don't understand how he's getting all this money, he's getting paid, and he's not earning that paycheck. And the Giants are in a weird place because you cut him and you don't really have any weapons left. So
exactly.
So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know why they decided to give this man all that money. They were bidding against themselves. So last season,
I swear I seen like an article or something about where to trade Kenny Galladay to. I'm like, well, who's going to trade for him right now? I mean, or at least what are you going to get for him? I mean,
listen, whatever they can get, pennies on the dollar, with the 6th round pick. Honestly, I hear the Raiders might need some receiver help, man. You know,
I don't think so. I think it's a little more than that. Yeah. All right. So what we want to do this week is we want to start kind of a new segment, if you will, but it's Rivals of the Week, which is where we highlight some of the players who just went off, who went crazy, who went beast mode this week. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like the top scorers, just guys that, went crazy and they're just, important to mention here. And it could have won people weeks more than likely. So if you want to go ahead and start, man, let me know who you got on there for the Rivals of the Week.
Yeah, man, Rivals of the Week, I would say Khalil Herbert. I mean, Khalil came in and just looked absolutely – he looked good. He always looks good, though. I feel like whenever Khalil gets the opportunity, the talent's there. He has great vision, great burst, balance. I feel like whenever I watch him, the first guy never takes him down, right? If you ever watch – like, go back and watch his highlights, the first tackler always not he doesn't miss, but he breaks the tackle. So he always breaks that first tackle. So if you go back and watch his highlights, the first tackler never takes him down. And I would say Khalil Herbert, man, 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards, 150+ yards. Listen, he definitely helped probably some people in deeper leagues win, but not the typical 12 team. I don't think anyone was probably starting him in most leagues, but.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about him like 2 weeks ago where you said you were going to trade him to me, but, here you
never made an offer, man. You never made an offer.
I need that. He's a backup offer. You know what I mean? Not what he can be as a starter offer.
Listen, I think what you're going to see is that this coming off season, they're going to let David Montgomery walk. Khalil Herbert's going to be the starter, and he's going to get those carries. So. Now,
that's the price you're selling him as. That's the price you're selling him as.
Listen, now's the time to buy low on Khalil. Actually, those days are probably over now. But if you can still buy him, I would definitely, for a second, I would take it for a second.
Yeah. All right, so he definitely belongs on there.
Yeah. So he's on my list, on my rivals of the week list. So yeah.
All right. Let me throw one out there. We can go back and forth on these. I'm gonna put Romeo Doubs on there.
Okay. All right.
And now for a couple of reasons. Now he didn't have, 200 receiving yards, something like that, but he had 8 receptions off 8 targets, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Now, you'll anywhere you look up Romeo Doubs right now, you're gonna find out that he became the first Packers wide receiver not named Devontae Adams to record 8 receptions in a game. since Randall Cobb in 2018, week 1.
Wow.
And he also became the first rookie wide receiver to catch a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers since 2018.
Wow. Okay.
Crazy, right? So to me, he definitely belongs on this list. And
he belongs on the list, yeah, for sure.
If things continue to, go this way, I mean, Romeo might take off with the Packers, man. Might be the next guy.
I think so. It's funny. I remember in the summertime, there were a lot of folks who were saying that, ignore the hype, Romeo Dobbs, not that good. He's catching passes against practice squad dudes, and he's got to do it in the NFL. Okay, all right. Well, he's doing it now. So what's
exactly?
What's your take now? So
exactly.
Yeah.
And everybody was hyped up on Watson and Lazard and all these guys, and it's like, man, I mean, and this is a big step for a rookie wide receiver with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, like to grow that trust. Now, I mean, when Aaron leaves, we'll see what they end up doing at some point. But as of right now, man, I think Romeo is certified for it. So he's one of the rivals of the week for me.
You think he finishes the year as the number 1 receiver in Green Bay over Lazard or no?
I think he does. As long as Aaron Rodgers doesn't do this head game thing where he can't trust a rookie, or when him and Watson, everybody's healthy, if they don't push him back. I'm hoping if this catapults him into the respect of the team and they start using him more and all that kind of stuff, sure. But I think Lazard's spot is more safe in terms of what the team already if everyone's healthy, he's safe for them to be the number 1 probably.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, all right.
Let me see. Do you have anyone else for Rivals of the Week?
Yeah, I think Rivals of the Week, man. I think there's a couple other players I could name. Lamar Jackson for sure. I mean, listen, the guy's been balling all year. Today's prices are not tomorrow's prices, so
nope.
I feel like or yesterday's prices aren't today's prices. I feel like, listen, man, the Ravens. They fucked up or they messed up not giving this man a contract in the summer, right before the start of the season, and he is going to make them pay. And when I say pay, they're gonna have to break that bank to keep him in there.
Yeah.
so yeah. So I would say Lamar coming up five TDs. Listen, he has complete control of that offense. He's got some weapons that he can throw to all over the field. Mark Andrews, even Devin Duvernay. I've kind of been like, all right, it's Devin Duvernay, but he's been, he's putting up, he's making the most of his opportunities. So, and then even Bateman, Bateman is looking good. So I think that offense, man, I feel like they're gonna be a headache for a lot of people coming up. So
yeah. The thing is with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson is he always extends plays. He always makes the defense have to think about what he's gonna do. This dude goes over 100 yards rushing all the time. So it's a defense has to respect that. So guys like Bateman and Duvernay and Andrews obviously take advantage of that. He's just one of those special guys, man. I don't know why the Ravens didn't pay him what he wanted, before this, like you mentioned, because it's only going to keep going up. It's not like, there's not going to be some, deficient reduction in production for Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So for them to not give him what he wants, I mean, prices only go up every year. We know this, right? Guys get contracts every single season, and you're like, this guy got paid this much. Shoot, this other guy's gonna get paid way more now. And so it's they're only hurting themselves by waiting to pay him what he wants in reality. So he knows that. He knows he's gonna get his money regardless, whether it's from the Ravens or someone else. So it's just it was foolish of them to wait. So
the only thing I can think of as to why they're waiting is because they think he's an injury risk. So they're like, okay, well, let's see if he makes it through a season, and then we'll get. I mean, he plays quarterback more physically than a lot of players at not the same position. So
for sure.
That's the only reason why I can think why you would want to not give him that money sooner. So
for sure. Another rival of the week for me is Cordarrelle Patterson. This dude, man, and I have to put him on this list because I feel like he never gets the respect, right? His career started in a way where it's a lot of people were hype about it. A lot of people thought he was this, good weapon on the field, but it was never fully put together. It never was consistent. But man, since he joined the Falcons, this dude has just turned up a whole nother notch, right? Totally has gone beast mode and definitely belongs in the rivals category. He didn't even, I think he had one catch last week. So it's not even like, oh, well, he's not really a running back. He's more of a pass catcher. He only had 1 catch last week, but he did it all in the running game. 17 attempts, 141 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, this dude is the real deal, and it doesn't have to be in the passing game. Like, he's doing it in any way. You know what I mean? And so I like the fact that it wasn't like, oh, 70 receiving yards, 40 rushing yards. It was like, I went 100 and plus just rushing the ball. You know what I mean? So he definitely is needs respect put on his name. He definitely deserves it. And I'm happy because a lot of people thought that, like, after last year that it wouldn't continue. Whether it was like the Falcons shied away from it, whether it's defenses figured it out, like whatever it was, people thought it wasn't going to maintain. But it has, man. Change of quarterback, everything, and it's still, he's still just out there crushing it.
You love it. You love to see it. It's crazy. It makes you wonder, what the heck did these other NFL teams like? How did they not see this? I mean, it's not like the skill and the talent wasn't there. I mean, was it just not the right scheme, or I don't know. Maybe
was it a scheme thing? Was it a Cordell thing? Like, did he just happen to put it all together at this point? Did something just click? Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows? But I'm happy for him though.
Yeah, definitely happy for him. So
yeah, I have one more. I don't know if you have one more.
Yeah, okay, I got one more. I think Devonta Smith definitely should be mentioned as a rival. Listen, he went out and just balled out. 8 catches, 169 yards, 1 TD. He's going to make it very hard for defenses to focus primarily on A.J. Brown. They're not going to be able to do it. And even then, you provide safety help or additional coverage to both those guys. Then you got Dallas Goedert. But I think it's going to be very hard for teams if those 3 guys can stay healthy, and obviously the quarterback too. But if Goddard, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith can stay healthy, I think all 3 of those guys are going to put up good numbers this year. Like, the number, and I think Devonta, him being on this list, he really wasn't what I expected. I know he's a quality receiver, but to put up those kind of stats, I think it's very telling of what kind of year the Eagles are going to have. So,
yeah, I mean, already, you have A.J. Brown, who they added this year, and he's been doing great with Jalen Hurts. I'm really happy to see Jalen Hurts like putting it all together. They gave him the weapons, and he's making it happen. Because again, another guy who a lot of people had doubted. You know what I mean? So it's good. It's good to see that it's not just A.J. Brown. It's also, Devonta also doing it. Yeah. So it's like, it's good, man. This is great for Jalen Hurts. This is great for the Eagles offense. Again, another guy who came in with a lot of expectations on him. And if he can keep it, consistently moving this way, it's going to be, a great season for the Eagles in general. You know what I mean?
100%, 1,000%. So, and that offensive line is crazy. So, like, you're not getting to Jalen Hurts, so he's gonna have plenty of time to survey the field and to get at Devonta Smith. So,
another guy in the Lamar Jackson mold too, man. Like,
you're right.
These guys are great. As much as I'm a Raider fan, as much as I like Derek Carr, I root for him. Like, man, those kind of quarterbacks are so desirable, man. Like, you're always like, I have Derek Carr, he's straight, he's a good quarterback, but like, I don't have that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have that when you don't have that. You know what I mean? It's like
the grass is a little greener on the other side.
Like, man, that is for sure a greener grass. And the last one I have on here is Chris Olave. 13 targets, 9 receptions, 147 yards. He's been building up each week, like getting better every single week, or the team is giving him more opportunities because he's had 13 targets the last 2 weeks back to back. And so, those Chris Olave stats cannot be ignored, and that's why he is my last rival of the week. Let's jump over to week 3 surprises, Bruce. I'm going to start out first with this one. I have Mac Hollins, Las Vegas Raiders' very own. 10 targets, 8 receptions, 158 yards, 1 touchdown. While the team is losing, while Devontae Adams isn't doing enough, while Darren Waller's not doing enough, here comes a guy who has been a special teams ace and captain his whole career to be a legitimate wide receiver threat in the Raiders offense. So I have to make him one of my surprises of the week. I have to find a positive somewhere for the Raiders.
Listen, I feel you. You got to find those positives, those rays of sunshine in those gloomy days. I mean, listen, Mac put up some numbers. I mean, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be repeatable, but I mean, it was a pretty good day. You know what?
I mean, he's done okay. Like, I think last week he did all right, but like this week, obviously this was off the charts and definitely not repeatable. But it is interesting to see that even with Hunter Renfrow out and Devontae Adams and Darren Waller not exactly executing the way you want them to. A guy like Matt Collins still finds a way in this offense to score, which is weird because you wanted the offense to explode and all of these guys who are, considered much better players to explode, and they're not, but then this guy does it. So it's like, it's weird.
It is weird. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me shoot my surprise of the week out.
Okay.
I would have to say Trevor Lawrence and then Jaguars. Let's go Jaguars.
Yeah.
Listen, we talked about it last week. I think the fact that what they were able to do against the Chargers, that's huge. The Chargers, their defense, that's one, they're one of the top defenses in the NFL, right? So
for sure.
For the Jaguars to do what they did, to basically run up the score on them boys. Trevor Lawrence, three touchdowns, 250 plus yards passing, and that defense, they look good. So I would say the Jaguars overall are my surprise. There were so many elements on that team that you almost want pieces of the Jaguar offense. We're going to look back at this 2022 season, and we're going to say we definitely should have got pieces of that offense. So. Right.
And it's funny because I feel like we've been kind of burned a lot by the Jaguars offense. So we kind of have this victim, this post, traumatic stress disorder thing going on with them where we want to believe, but we've been burned so many times. It's hard to believe. If that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that makes perfect sense. I feel like the brand, the brand of the Jaguars, it's almost like the Browns, right? Where you look at the Browns and you're like, damn, do I want any players for the Browns? But then you take the name and the colors off the jersey, and the players are talented. Amari Cooper is talented. And you look at these Jaguars, like we said last week, Christian Kirk, he has the draft capital. Zay Jones, listen, Zay Jones is a talented guy. Wherever he's gone, he's produced. Trevor Lawrence, generational quarterback. He's destined for greatness, I guess. So that old line looks good. So I think if you take away the history of it and you just look at this team now with Doug Peterson, the quarterback they have, the offensive line, the talent's there. Jacksonville on the come up, man. So
for sure. Yeah, that's a good week 3 surprise. And then I also have one more for week 3 surprises. This guy had 11 targets, 9 receptions for 78 yards, 1 touchdown, and he's not a wide receiver. He's a running back, Devin Singletary. I mean, come on, this Bills offense where they're throwing the ball everywhere. Josh Allen's getting everybody involved to the point where even Devin Singletary doesn't even have to run the ball well to have an effective game. So I thought this was a good surprise. I actually have him in a couple of leagues and I didn't start him. I think maybe I started him at 1, I forget, but I got burned by that for sure. So yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a nice I don't want to call it an awakening for Devin Singletary, but just this nice moment where he proved that he can get it done in the passing game, which I think is a good surprise for a lot of fantasy, managers out there.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, in my opinion, he's the best asset in that backfield to own this year, right? He runs well. I mean, he's not the fastest guy on the team, but listen, he breaks enough tackles. He has good enough vision. He catches the ball. I think he's the guy that you want to have in that offense. But you're right, that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, and you have this narrative where they keep adding running backs, or they have other running backs, and people keep going, "Oh, that's the next guy. Oh, that's the next guy." And Devin Singletary is not yet. This is still my time. You know what I mean? So I like it.
Exactly. He's not going out without a fight.
Exactly.
I don't see Cook or Moss unseating him. So
yeah, they can keep adding guys. He's holding it down. Do you have any other surprises for this week? Because that was it for me. Those were the 2 biggest outliers.
Yeah, I think I got one more. I think the one other play that I want to spotlight as a surprise, Devontae Parker. I feel like he's always being left for dead, and then he comes up out of nowhere. Although I feel like the talk in the summertime was he was going to be the leading dude. They paid him all that money to come in. So he balled out. He got his 10 targets, 150 plus yards. And he looked good. The chemistry was there with him and Mac Jones. What's sad though is obviously now Mac Jones is injured, so he might be out for a few weeks. But I would say Devontae Parker is probably my surprise of the week. I wasn't expecting that kind of a performance from him. So
Yeah, neither did I. Especially last week for my not so obvious pick of the week, I picked Nelson Aguilar, and it just so happened to be not him, but Parker. I guess I picked the wrong receiver for the
Yeah,
Patriots, but
yeah.
yeah, it was good to see. He definitely is a feel good guy to see do well because again another guy who came in with a lot of expectations and had lots of injuries, and now
Yeah.
I just want to see him get on course and stay on it. You know what I mean, so
Yeah.
if it could be if Devontae Parker could be a thing in New England, that'd be good to see.
Well,
All
we'll
right,
see. We'll
so
see.
yeah, and so I mean those are our surprises,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to jump over to overreactions, which again, these can be
Okay.
negative or positive overreactions, however you want to
Okay.
approach it. I will backpack on my first overreaction off of who you had in your surprises, which is the Jaguars offense.
Okay.
There's two Jaguar wide receivers right now inside the top 25, and I believe it's sustainable. And I think that's kind of like my overreaction here is I don't know if it is, but I feel like it is. So Christian Kirk and Zay Jones are both, at least last time I checked, I don't know if after the Monday night game, I believe they still are, but both inside top 25, and I believe it's sustainable. Do you think that's an overreaction, or do you think that is fair?
Listen, I'm on the Jaguars train. I'm riding that train. I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's a reaction that I think fantasy players should have. You look at the way you look at the way the Jaguars have been playing, the way T Law has been playing. He looks good, and they're going to be passing the ball. They got a solid O line.
The running backs are doing good.
The running backs are good. But I think if you look at that team, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones are guys who I think are going to command at least at a minimum 6 targets, around 6 targets, 6 to 7 targets per game. So I think it's sustainable, man. And I think they're going to be quality targets too. So it's not just empty targets, but it's going to be quality targets. So
let me ask you this: if you're a league team manager right now and you have Christian Kirk on your team, are you like trying to sell high, or are you like, no, I'm riding this? Like this is
I'm riding it. I'm riding it.
Okay,
I'm riding it, man. I'm riding that Christian Kirk Jaguars train.
Nice.
I think when you look at that division, I think they're the favorites to win the division, and I think Doug Peterson, the fact that he got fired. Remember, he got fired, right? He got fired from the Eagles. And I think this is going to be a statement year for Doug Peterson in that offense. He wants to show the league that he should have never been fired from the Eagles, and he's going to put it on everybody this year. And guess who they play next week?
Who's that?
I think the Jaguars play the Eagles next week.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one.
So there you go. So that's I think that's actually going to be a little revenge game for Doug. I think that actually should be a great game. Both defenses are good. I think the Jaguars' offense is it's gonna produce, and I think that'll be a good test for them boys. So.
And I just double checked. They are playing the Eagles. They actually have a pretty interesting upcoming schedule. Eagles, Texans, Colts, Giants.
Ooh, yeah.
We'll see the true test on October 30th. They play the Broncos.
Come on,
which is a really good defense, though.
They are a good defense.
That's what I mean. Offensively, it's a good test against their defense.
I think the Broncos are a good defense, but I also think that the Broncos, who they've played so far, they've played the Seahawks, they've played I think the Texans, and I think they just last played the
49ers.
The 49ers with Jimmy G, who obviously this is his first game back from being off for a year, right? So they look good, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I don't think they've played anyone yet.
So what do you think of as a test for the Broncos defense this week, the Raiders?
Come on, man.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. Imagine the Raiders offense wakes up against the Broncos defense. Let's go.
I don't think the Raiders are a good litmus test for.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
No, we can't accept this shade. No, we can't do this. We can't do this. Give me an overreaction before I.
Okay. I think an overreaction. Actually, listen. Let's stay on the Broncos. I think Russell Wilson, you got to trade him. I think this offense looks bad. And don't get me wrong. Listen. The 49ers they're a good defense up front. They're stout. They look good. But at the same time, Russell just looks bad. And that offense, it's weird because they also just had to bring in a play calling specialist. Whenever you have to bring in a play calling specialist, it's almost like you're admitting that your play calling is flawed, right? Or
Right.
Nathaniel Hackett, who's calling the plays, isn't doing a great job. So all these things put together, and Russell is now going to have, obviously he's still trying to get comfortable in the system. Now he's going to have to pick up, nuances from, this special coordinator that they're bringing in. Dude, it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good.
So when you say trade him, you mean fantasy managers who have him right now should trade him?
Redraft, yeah. If you can get someone in your league,
give me a range. Okay, say you have Russell. Mm-hmm. You don't believe in him anymore.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who, because there's going to be people who go, hey, I do believe in Russell, and I think that he's going to turn this around. So, what quarterbacks do you think are in a range that's realistic for someone who maybe still believes in Russell? They don't have to believe in him like he's one of the GOATs this year, but just they believe in him enough that he's a top 10 quarterback or top 12 still. Who do you think's the range that you could get for him that you would be actually willing to pull that trigger?
Okay. Do you have?
I'll throw some names at you.
Give me some names. Give me some names.
Do you think that you could get right now Carson Wentz for Russell Wilson?
See, that's the thing. I don't think.
Is that crazy? Would you trade Russell for him? Would you trade Russell for Carson right now?
Yeah, I would take Carson. I would take Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Okay.
I know he didn't look good. I know he looked terrible against the Eagles, but the Eagles are good. They're a good defense.
Russell right now is the 23rd quarterback in the league, fantasy wise. Mm-hmm. There's tons of quarterbacks ahead of him that you would think don't belong there.
Give me one.
Would you trade him for a Marcus Mariota? He's actually in the top 15 right now.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna say I'd rather have Mariota. I'd rather have Mariota.
So I'm really curious what listeners are thinking right now. Like, is this an overreaction? Has Bruce gone off the deep end?
Listen, I know it sounds crazy, but Marcus Mariota, it feels like he's fitting in with that offense. He's got legit weapons with Drake London. He has Kyle Pitts. And on top of that, he has, Cordell Patterson. So he has weapons, and I feel like, and he's more apt to actually run rather than Russell. I feel like Russell is just, I don't really think that, you know what? I would be willing to bet that Marcus Mariota finishes the year, if they keep winning, and he plays the entire season, he finishes higher than Russell Wilson in terms of fantasy points this year. I bet that. I would bet that.
Interesting. He only has 2 touchdowns right now, Russell Wilson. He has 2 touchdowns and an interception. He has, a little over 700 passing yards.
Who's the next opponent? Who's the Broncos' next opponent?
Raiders.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Raiders. But see that.
Don't be disrespectful now.
Don't
say he's going to go off.
What's the over/under for that game? Do you know it?
I don't know. I don't
because
know.
Vegas will tell you everything. Vegas will tell you what it feels. If the over/under is like 42 or 40-something points, low 40s.
It's looks like it's 44.5.
There you go. So Vegas already thinks that these guys it's going to be a low-scoring game. Vegas doesn't respect the scoring that could happen in that game. So
the Broncos are 1.5 underdogs on the road against the Raiders.
Yeah. So listen, man. Vegas is telling us that they don't think that's going to be a high-scoring game. When in our minds, if we would have thought about this in the summertime, looking at this matchup, we would have thought this was going to be.
Yep.
But now, when you look at these two teams, this looks like it could be, maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns, maybe a couple field goals. Damn, man, I'm out. I'm out on the Broncos for now.
Yeah, the jump from Russell Wilson to like top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now is so drastic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of points is nuts. And when you get to the very top, like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, these guys are so far ahead of everybody else. It's just it's crazy. So it's an overreaction, but it's not really necessarily right now. It makes sense.
I think it feels like an overreaction just because of the name Russell Wilson and what people expected from him in the summertime. But listen, you got to change your mindset. The guy he's showing us he's showing us every game who he really is now. And this, to me, this is Russell Wilson that we should expect for the rest of the season. Maybe he gets better. Maybe he gets a little bit better. But I just don't see him finishing the year top 15, man. I don't see it.
Sucks to believe it, but we'll see if it continues.
All right.
My second one and last one that I have for today is that
Okay.
Tyler Conklin is actually a top 5 tight end currently and
Ooh.
will end the season there as well.
Really?
So,
okay.
so statistically, he is the top 5.
Mm.
But I think he'll end the season there as well. Again, maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe
you're not
nuts.
afraid of Zach Wilson coming in there and like mudding things up?
No,
No?
I think Conklin's a pretty good tight end. I think that he's already, acclimated himself there as the guy.
Yeah.
And I just feel good about it. I don't think it's a Joe Flacco thing. I think it's just this is where he's at in the Jets offense. They need, targets, and he's one of them. They trust, and they can, make him their outlet. So I think he's just going to continue to do well. Obviously, we know tight end is volatile. It can be up and down drastically from week to week. But I do feel like consistently through 3 games, he's been one of the better. He's tied for 3rd with the most targets even for tight ends in the league. So I mean, I just feel, and he's up there with guys like Mark Andrews, Ertz, Kelsey. You know what I mean? Like these guys are all right above him. So I think I feel good about it. I think he's good enough, and the team will rely on him enough. But I feel like end of season, he can be top 5.
I think it's a slight overreaction because we see what the offense and the targets look like with Flacco. I think you need to see what this offense looks like with Wilson, with Zach Wilson. I mean, are they going to let Zach Wilson come in there and throw 40, 50 times? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they just say, okay, Zach, we're going to let you throw 25 to 30 times a game. And if that's the case, then he's not going to lead. He's not going to be top 3, top 5 in targets. So,
yeah. I mean, that's good. I'm glad you said it's an overreaction. That's what this is here for, even if it's slight. But let's see if I'm right. I do feel comfortable about it. I am mad in one league in Scott Fishbowl. I had Tyler Conklin. I drafted him because I was like, let me get him late. I like him, and then I actually cut him for Isaiah Likely. And now I'm like, did I make a bad move here or what? So
I think so. And listen, I made the mistake before last week. I dropped Conklin and picked up Juwan Johnson. That was such a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. Going for upside, I guess. So
yeah, it happens. Yeah. Do you have one more overreaction before we jump over, or were you good?
Yeah, I got one more. I think that I also think Antonio Gibson. Trade him now. Trade him now if you can. Trade him.
Bruce is trading everybody. Bruce is trading everybody.
Trade him out of it. Get him out of there. And the reason why I say that, it's clear, right? Listen, Brian Robinson, the videos I've seen, according to Ron Rivera, he looks like he's healthy. No adverse effects from the gunshot wound to the leg or the gunshots to the leg. It looks like within the next 2 to 3 weeks, he's going to be back in there stealing carries for early down carries from Antonio Gibson. And also this last game when they were getting shellacked by the Eagles, listen, the guy they were having running routes was J.D. McKissick. So he's back now in his 3rd down role, and Antonio Gibson is going to be in a 3-way committee, and he's not even going to be getting the 3rd down work. So listen, if I'm an Antonio Gibson owner, get him out of there. Trade him when you can.
Well, I mean, and to the most important thing here is you're saying trade him before people catch up with what's going on. So
yes,
obviously, if he's doing pretty well, he's not doing bad. And so right now there are league managers in your league who may want him. This is your chance to trade him before they catch up with what's going on. Obviously, people might know Brian Robinson is coming, but they might not believe that he's going to be back healthy so quickly or that it's going to actually be effective so quickly. So this is your last chance to really try to capitalize on it, because after this, it'll probably be hard to do.
Yes. I mean, according to all the reports, his first chance to come off of the IR, I think is after week 4, right? So, or is it week 4? It's either on week 4 or after week 4. And everything that I've seen, man, he looks like he's out there. He's running. Brian Robinson is running routes. He is, giving us the workout videos. The legs look good. So no limp. So I think he's gonna come back, and you gotta trade it Antonio Gibson while you can. So
yeah, he could be back in week 5, I believe. So
yeah. So it's a 4-week IR. So yeah.
All right, cool. So that was our overreactions. We've knocked out, rivals of the week, surprises of the week, overreactions. Let's get to disappointments to wrap this show up. So let's our week 3 disappointments. You want to go ahead and drop a player first here?
I started out, man. Listen, my disappointment of the week, and he's been multiple week disappointing now, or at least the last 2 weeks. Justin Jefferson. He came out with that ferocious game, had everyone who drafted him in that the first round, thinking that damn they hit gold. He's gonna give us that Cooper Cup season. These last 2 weeks been trash. So trash. It's been trash. But I'll say this: even though it's been disappointing, I still think he has better days ahead of him. But yeah, I would say he's my disappointment so far. You don't draft a guy like that for him to give you like 8 points,
Right. Yeah, it's funny because my first disappointment is also one of the top flight elite wide receivers in the league. He hasn't had 2 back-to-back bad weeks, but last week was just definitely hurt me, and it's Tyreek Hill. 2 receptions, 33 yards. It just this past week there was a few of the elite wide receivers that we could put on this list. But Hill definitely hit me the hardest. And of course, we got to make sure that we say this, like with these elite wide receivers, they're not going to go big every single game. But you do hope that when a player has 190 yards and 2 touchdowns, or like Jefferson had 100 and something and 2 touchdowns the first week, you don't want like weeks with 30 yards or 40 yards, like especially no touchdowns or nothing. Like those kill you. You know what I mean? So but this is the position. It fluctuates. This is fantasy. It fluctuates. And so, it happens. Your guy's a little worse because I think, like you said, Jefferson's been 2 weeks, back to back. Tyreek Hill has just been this 1 week. But yeah, definitely, you come off that huge week with these kind of guys, and they let you down, and they got to go on the disappointment list, man.
You gotta put them on there. Hopefully they don't stay on there, but yeah, you gotta put them on there.
You got another one?
Yeah. All right. So I would say my disappointment is Mac Jones and that terrible ass gritty he did. That was the equivalent of Mike Gesicki and his suburban gritty. So I would say that was probably the worst gritty I've seen all year. So that's my other disappointment.
I wonder if we had to guess who's going to hit another gritty this year and not do it well. Who could it be? Who would do this to us?
I think the quarterback who's most likely to do it and to do it corny. I'm going to say Russell Wilson. I feel like Russell is. I feel like
if he does that,
he's the king of corn. It's like
if he does that, trade him. It's a bad omen.
Did you see the one video where he's like, run a pass, 96, tell him run a pass? He's like,
I didn't see it.
Oh man. So there was a video basically of him on the sideline, like basically trying to get the team to like yell out if the other team's offense is running or passing. So he's like walking around like, like it's Pop Warner, like, hey, 96, run a pass, tell him run a pass, shout it out. You didn't see that video?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh man, see it. Dude, you gotta find it when you get a chance.
I'll check it. I'll look for it on YouTube.
Yeah, it was pretty cringy. I get why he was doing it, but it's like, dude, if these guys are not doing it by themselves, then I don't know, man. Anyhow,
Russell gets a bad rap, man. Come on. The play isn't helping it this week, but he gets a bad rap.
He does. He better start winning. He better start winning. Anyhow, so yeah.
Mac Jones,
Mac Jones, yeah. Or I should say he should keep winning because he won the last game, barely. But yeah.
Yeah. My last disappointment of the week is Darnell Mooney. Dude.
Oh yeah.
This guy, and it's not for this week, it's for the whole season. I really went into the season with like high hopes for Darnell Mooney and understanding like the quarterback situation and everything, but like I thought for sure he was going to stand out in the offense as the pass catcher. But he's having no chance to make an impact, and it's thanks to Justin Fields. Not, I get it, I understand why, but like his attempts per game are way worse than I thought they would be. Like again, I understood that it would be kind of training wheels a little bit still, but like he has the least amount of passes attempted of any quarterback who has started 3 games this season, and he even has less than some quarterbacks who only played 2 games this season. It's really low. Everything is low. The attempts are low. The yards are like ridiculously low. So everything is just bad. And I've really had super high hopes for Darnell Mooney. So this is painful.
Yeah. Just real quick about the about Justin Fields. Listen, the fact that they're still winning is what's keeping him playing. Yeah. So he's got to thank the gods for that. But in regards to Mooney, and listen, you're not alone. I think everyone in the summertime talked about Mooney, having 140 targets in the season. It's possible. Who else are they going to throw to? Okay, well, when are they going to start throwing to Mooney? That's the real question. But yeah, I could see him being a big disappointment, and I don't see it really changing anytime soon.
No, yeah, it's been painful for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any other disappointments?
I do, but you know what? You might be a little hurt, but I would say Devontae Adams. Listen, he got
me in the chest. You got me.
I know, man. Listen, you're getting 10 targets. You're getting 10 targets. You got to do more than like 36 yards or whatever. It was below 50 yards. You can't. Yeah. You can't go out like that, man.
Yeah, it's like he's gotten a touchdown each game. You know what I mean? It's like if he could just get the yards to go with it, and it's disappointing that he's getting those targets and the yards still aren't there. That has to improve, man. It just has to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. It has to improve, and I think that I think it will improve. I'm not as worried, but you got to put him on the list. You get 10 targets, you got to do more than that. So
yeah, to be clear, every time we do these disappointments, we're just saying that the guys are letting us down. We're not saying that we're not overreacting to it. We're not doing anything crazy, but it is. We have to we have to let them know what made us sad, just like what made us happy did this week.
Exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean the Raiders offense as a whole belongs on this damn list. They're just as frustrating as can be.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean that's all I have for today in regards to our week 3 recap and all these players and narratives and everything that I had to get off my chest. Do you have anything else for week 3 that we don't want to leave behind in week 3?
I guess for me, until further notice, man, I don't think I'm trusting Tom Brady until obviously he needs to get some of his weapons back, but
yeah,
I can't trust him. I can't trust him.
Yeah, I hear you. That's a good note to end on for week 3. And our next episode will be the week 4 waivers and our bold predictions and all that. So look forward to that episode. But that is it for our week 3 recap.
Sounds good.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, comment down below. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you hit subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review if you haven't already. And you can always find us on Twitter, on IG at Rival Fantasy, or you can even find us on TikTok at Play Rival Fantasy. So hit us up, follow us. And that's it, Bruce. I'm out, man. That's all I got.
All right, man.
All right, Bruce.
All right, man. Later.